So hello, welcome to stage 57. Not an overly complex build this week. We're just going to finish off the little seat that we started last week, but we will need the main interior that we have been working on. Really happy with the way this model's going. Do a little bit off the model, then attach that to the model. Do a little bit off the model, attach that. And I suspect that's how it's going to go for a few weeks. Makes the building a little bit easier. Obviously we're building a massive model, but we're not dealing with a big thing all the time, so it's build a little module, add it on. Let's see how I got on. So hello, welcome to stage 57, which is the second jump seat back. So let's begin as always with the parts check. So we begin with 57A, and this is the jump seat back frame. And I don't know why I'm struggling so much to say this. Seat back. So that's step A. Sorry, I was just adjusting my light. Step B is difficult to get out. Jump seat back interior, and that's this piece here, and you can tell which one it is. It's got these 4 squares on it. Stage 3, oh, piece 3, sorry. C, sorry. Jump seat back sponge. Now, this comes in the container with the sponge already in, but as I picked this up, the sponge did fall out. So let's assume the sponge isn't in it, and that's this piece of sponge. And then piece D is the jump seat back, and that's this good old bit that we've seen quite a few times. And we finished the build off with 8 EP screws. Which is this one, 1.7 by 4 millimeters. IP screws, 2 by 5 millimeters, and there's 4 of those. And lastly, MP screws, 1.7 by 4 by 5. These are like the top hat screws, and these are 4 by 1. Sorry, 1.7 by 4 by 5, and there's 4 plus 1, so it's 5 screws. I think these are called washer screws, but we kind of call them top hat screws. I've heard them called all sorts of things, but the most commonly I've heard them called top hat screws and washer screws. All they essentially are, are a screw with a washer built into the screw. It's not separate. So let's have a look at what we're doing. So we need to begin by inserting the sponge 57C inside the seat back, which is this one, and we did the same thing in an earlier video. All we need to do is place the sponge inside there so that these tabs there are free, and then we need to take seat back interior, which is this piece, and with our 4 holes there exposed, not these ones. Sorry, I'm just trying double checking this. Yeah, with these holes there exposed, what we're going to do is we've got recesses on here. There's 4 recesses there, and these bits are going to go in. And I found the easiest way to do this, just slip that recess underneath one of those tabs like so. So you'll end up with this kind of effect. And then what we're going to do is we're going to push this down. We're going to take the other side. We're just going to pull the side out, then let it go. And you see how that goes in. And then we do that for the 2 remaining sides. And it really is as simple as that. So what we'll then need to do is screw this down with 4 MP screws, and that's these top hat screws. So let me just tip some of these out. So, and you know me, I like to work opposite sides, so I will just pop one in there. Making sure that goes in fine. Then I'll work on the opposite side. I think I might have a slightly too large screwdriver head on here, but it's working fine. There we go. That's looking brilliant. So that one goes in there. Don't need to over tighten these, but the screw will just screw into that recess there, so you see the whole thing is flush. Oh, I'm struggling here. I can't. The light seems to bounce a bit funny for me. There we go. And those screws are nice and flush. And then we'll just finish this off with a seat back frame, and that's this last piece here, and that will go on like so. And what you will notice is as you place these on, you've got these two recessed holes there, and then you've got these four raised holes, and there doesn't seem to be any particular orientation, but you do get these two little tabs that just fall around the sides like so. So let's try and place it. Now there doesn't feel any difference there to me. Yes, there is. So you'll see on this seat back, you'll see two small holes there. There's a very small notch, and that needs to go there, and that's why it felt slightly more comfortable. See, that way the notch is at the top, so make sure those notches, recesses, just go on the bottom there like so, and then it hides those up, and it just makes it more flush against that post. And they will need to be secured with 4 EP screws, and I'm actually going to get 6 out. The reason being is I know for the next stage we're going to need more EP screws. So let's, as always, we'll pop this one in just enough to bite, and then we'll pop another one in the opposite corner just enough to bite. And I think that first one didn't want to go in. And now the first one's just popped in and the second one hasn't. That's interesting. So this is rather interesting. So what's happened, see how this fares. There we go. So with this first one I popped in, you see it's only gone in just enough to bite. The screw hole there was just really slightly out of line, so you may need to just twist this a little bit, really make sure that hole there is lined up with the hole underneath. It shouldn't be too much of a problem. There we go. And then the fourth one, and then we can tighten them up fully. And again, what I think is becoming a cliche for me now is these are plastic screws. They're only going into plastic, so let the plastic tell us when it's in enough. Don't over tighten. I know it's one of those things I go on and on about every single video, but is it the kind of information I can tell you too much? There we go. So We'll check to see it's on firmly, which it is. Don't need to go in any tighter now, do they? So the next step then is that we need to fit the seat back, and we need to place the, sorry, bear with me one sec. So from a previous episode we have, no, ignore that, sorry. So we need to take the seat back, and we need to secure that with 2 EP screws. So that's going in like that, and that looks rather insecure like that, but that is the way it's being done. I'm not 100% happy with how that's attached. It shouldn't receive an accidental knock, but if it should get knocked, I don't know if that's going to be very secure. But these part works have proven me wrong so many times. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop the screw through there. I think that's going to be easier. So I'm actually placing it on the back using this as a rest, and then I'm going to feed the part through. I know you can't see this, but it's going to, because I can't hold this, and that's completely missed. Let's see if we can do it sideways. Right, so there we go. Do it sideways, I can see it better. So we've got our screwdriver on the screw. This is not wanting to happen for me, is it? Right, so bring the part to the screw. Let's just try it without the screwdriver just to get it going. So we'll pop the screw in through the hole, and then we can bring the part there. So now that's lined up over the hole, and now I can pop that in. You know what I'm going to say, don't you? Just enough to bite. Whoops. So then I'm going to turn it over. Then, because it's being held in by half a screw there, that's going to kind of act as a third finger, third hand. Make sure this is lined up on. This is going to be really hard to see, if impossible, on camera, but I'm just wiggling the seat until I can see that it's lined up. And with this being silver, it really does bounce the light back at me. So that's now held in by 2 screws partially screwed in. So now what we'll do, a little bit of a turn of the screwdriver and a little bit of a prayer that it doesn't strip the threads. And that has gone in fine. And do you know what? I'll stand corrected. I think that's in rather nice, actually. That's going to take a bit of a knock. I wouldn't deliberately try and hit it hard, but maybe that is more than sufficient on there. But I find this seat quite interesting. So to fit the connector, we will need to bring our actual body through. So we have brought our body through of the Ecto-1, and we actually want to be popping this jump seat on, and I've actually got that the wrong way round. Well, I say I've got it the wrong way round. It doesn't match the magazine orientation, so we will need it this way round, with the other jump seat to my right. But before we do that, we need to take the jump seat base connector, which is this one, this piece, and we need to push it into the bottom of the jump seat assembly, so that the 3 silver screw posts on the bottom of the base poke through the connector. So let's have a look at doing that. So these are, so we see we've got the 3 holes there, and you see we've got 3 posts there. So there's only one way we can put this, because if we do it this way, the posts won't go through. We also need, you see there that there's a raised line there, and on the other side it's a recessed line. We actually need that recessed line to be on the outside. So you see that we've got the recessed line will go against the seat, and that will go in like that, and what we'll end up with is the connector with 3 silver posts sticking through. Then to connect this to the base, and this is going to be slightly awkward, I do apologise guys, I don't know why I'm apologising, but here we have the jump seat, and as we just come the other side of this footwell, I'm going to call this a footwell because this is where you'll step in, we've got three holes there in a little triangle, and that will match up lovely with this. And what we'll do is, we might need to do a bit of fishing, but those 3 posts have fit into those holes perfectly. Now this is where it's going to get slightly tricky. We need to secure that with 3 IP screws. So what I'm going to recommend we do is we get our IP screws ready, and then we get one loaded up on our screwdriver ready, and then what we're going to do is we're going to hold our seat with our index finger, thumb underneath. With our other hand we can lift this whole thing up, and we can find any one of those screw holes. You see there 1, 2, 3, and we can find any one of them. Screw that in just enough to bite. Now if we place our base on the side, we can now load our screwdriver up again. Now in my particular case this has swiveled, but because it's now pivoting on one screw, so it went like this, but because it's pivoting on that one screw, you can see how easy it is just to bring it back to where it should go. So now we can secure a second screw, lovely, and that's not going to pivot anymore because it's got 2 fixing points. So now the 3rd screw, and this can go in all the way, but remember it will tell us when it's in enough. And this is a very difficult thing to explain because I can't explain feelings, but the resistance will change just a little bit, and then what we will do, that is not moving. Now I felt perhaps I could tighten those screws up a little bit more, they had more to give, but this seat is not moving, so I'm calling that perfect. So that is actually stage 57 complete, and that is absolutely perfect. That's just added a little bit more detail, and I'm going to need a bigger camera now, aren't I? So yeah, that's the second jump seat back complete, and there's only one more video left in this particular pack, and it looks like it's going to be quite a good build next week, and that's the power control unit and power distribution unit base. So I'd be honoured if you join me next week when I will build that. Take care guys, bye bye.